shoulder season is the hardest one, like, because it's a long time. Whereas like you can still have ACs and stuff in August, September. And shoulder season, for those of you that like don't really know, it's like HVAC has a couple seasons where the temperature is too mild to really do anything productive, as in you don't sell a ton of systems. So you tend to have to get very creative with how to keep things moving, because you have install crews that rely on your comfort advisors to still sell stuff. In the spring, that's usually like, March, April, sometimes February, like depending on how weird the season is. May, again, depends. It's 80 degrees right now in Ohio, so that's not shoulder. That's 80 degrees. That's hot. And then the other one is like September, August, September is when it gets kind of weird. So a lot of the stuff that we've done really well, we got from Rich. So I'm excited to talk to Rich about how he's helped mitigate his shoulder season and make it better. So you want to talk a little bit about I think a lot of what you did was last year. Like you implemented a ton of stuff last spring, and it really carried you through 2 shoulder seasons now. So you've proved it twice.
And I think it's maybe useful to kind of talk about what the shoulder season used to look like versus what it's looked like over the last year. So like we used to, like you said, like September, October, even November, first half of November, and really like late August. So like back half of August, first half of November, and everything in between would be weak. And then February, March, April, would be weak as well. And weak meaning like difficult to fill the service board for HVAC. Certainly difficult to fill the board for like things like sales quotes for replacements and stuff like that. But really filling it in HVAC service. After we've put a bunch of things in place, like we really started putting things in place, I'd say like March of last year, we have not had, on the HVAC service front, we haven't had what feels like a shoulder season in 12 months. Like the team, like at one point, I think it was like getting into November, the team was like, we haven't had a break. I was like, good. You're not supposed to. Really for us, a huge part of it is memberships. For us, like memberships means like annual maintenances. We went on a big blitz to sell memberships in the spring of last year. We've continued to carry that through. One of those things was adjusting our membership to be more desirable to the customer and like easier to sell. And then also opening it up for the office to sell it out of the office. A lot of companies and ours before, like really the technicians are just the ones that kind of offer it in the field, maybe it gets the customer a discount or whatever. And technician conversion on that for like best in class companies would be like 40% of non-members. That's best in class. Most companies would be 10% or less. We do a pretty good job, and we're at 25 or 30%.
Yeah, memberships are like, I used to hear the metric of 1,000 to 1 million, which obviously I don't know anyone that actually lives up to that membership or that metric, but like that's been a huge part of our growth too, especially in HVAC. Like HVAC is gonna 2.5 times last year. And one of the biggest things we did was like hone in on memberships. And that'll put HVAC like 8 figures, like low tens, which is kind of crazy to us, from 4 million last year. And like much of the work was like, how do you, like you said, you didn't explicitly say it, but I'm going to repeat back. Like if there's jobs on the service guys, then almost everything else will be taken care of. Like if you can keep the service guys full, you can keep the sales guys full and keep the installers full. And the way you keep service guys full is memberships. Thanks for tuning in to Owned and Operated, the podcast for home service entrepreneurs. If you enjoyed today's episode, please hit the like button and subscribe to the podcast. If you have any questions or topics you'd like us to cover, feel free to reach out. You can find me on Twitter at @WilsonCompanies. I'll see you next time.